Hello, hello. How are you guys doing? Okay, perfect. I'm always worried that the live isn't working because sometimes it does that. But welcome to the last day of our 30 days of lives, our last day of the Natural Hair Sisterhood Circle. If you guys can see something down here, it's a hot water bottle. So you probably already know what's going on. Hi, Karen. Hi, Jay. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for being patient. I know that it's a few minutes after we usually gather, but everything's in divine timing. Hi, Devin. So before we get started, I just want to say I have some announcements going on. Hi, Beth. Hi, Paige. Hi, Namoy C. First announcement. This is a very, very big deal, you guys. So you all know that my passion and my purpose is educating women on learning their hair, feeling empowered in their natural hair, and learning their hair so that they can really take care of their hair easily at home. And I am entered into a contest that's going to allow me to go across the nation and teach women about their hair with Sally Beauty. So I'm asking for your help. If you found 30 Days of Live helpful, if any of my masterclasses were helpful, if any of my videos or Instagram posts are helpful, I would love if you would go to my very last Instagram post. I have it linked in the description box, and just comment your support, hashtag Sally Crew on that photo. That way you guys can help me win. They're choosing finalists this month. Thank you, Michelle. They're choosing finalists this month, and I really would love the opportunity, if it's meant for me to have, I know it's already mine, but I would just love the opportunity to be able to spread this message and this knowledge more like nationwide, so my main goal is really just helping women feel secure and confident in their hair. I told you guys, if we all just felt good about our hair and we're completely good on that, like the world would change. So thank you. It's linked in my description box. I would really appreciate your support. I'm going to be posting about it today. I've already posted about it on Instagram, Thursday and Friday on Instagram. So you can support each post. The contest entry ends on Friday. So I appreciate you guys. Devin said, oh, wow. She said, I'm doing that now. I remember when I asked you over a year ago if you would go on a speaking tour. Yeah, a few of you guys have asked me, like, I'm going to do in-person events. And the thing is, like, I literally love speaking, but like planning events, I can do it. It's just, everybody has their zone of genius. So I'm always very open to like being the speaker at an event. I don't know about hosting the whole event, although one of my dreams actually is to have an empowerment conference where like it's specifically for teen girls and one specifically for women, where we just come and like fill our cup up with self-love, so that we can pour that out into the community. But okay, so that's announcement number one. Announcement number two, you can comment as many times as you like. I just definitely ask, if you can, to comment each day between today, Thursday, and Friday. That would really mean a lot. But yeah, so the second announcement is, of course, the self-love sale is still going on. So if you haven't grabbed either a masterclass or pre-ordered the Affirmations guide, you can do so at the link in my description box. And we're going to go ahead and jump into today's live because it is, like I said, the last one. And this live was actually suggested by Beth. I really appreciate it. I think she's in here right now. She wanted to know, I thought it was really like literally perfect. She wanted to know, how do you know when you're making progress in your hair journey? Like if you're just starting out, or maybe you're restarting over, like what are the signs and indicators that you should look for, letting you know that you're on the right track? And of course, even she said, this is going to look different for everyone. But just in general, what would that look like? And also just talking about like the importance of patience during the journey. So I thought that was a perfect way to wrap up our time together. And Myrna saying, I'm going to miss our sisterhood. I am too. I was saying it's going to be so weird tomorrow when it's like 6 o'clock and I'm like, oh, I don't need to go live. Like I can just, that's going to be really weird. But I am going to be doing these monthly. So we're going to have like a monthly sisterhood check-in. Of course, you guys can always send in the topics that you want to talk about. And I find that if one of you sends in like a question, at least 5 or 10 of you have the same question. So it's really beneficial when you guys share your feedback with me, because it usually ends up in the video. So I wanted to start with first, like, what are some indicators that let you know your hair is on the right track? And I can only speak from my personal experience and also from my clients' experience, because you guys know that I help women like get their hair healthier. So for me personally, what let me know I was on the right track was decreased frizz. So when I first went natural back in 2010, I had no idea how to take care of my natural hair as I was transitioning. I thought I was doing the right thing. And in a sense I was, because I was very dedicated to like spending time with my hair, deep conditioning it, styling it. I just wasn't using the right product. So I really wasn't getting much moisture, although I was constantly applying product to my hair. But anyway, I say all that to say that when I finally big chopped in February of 2010, I just realized my big chop anniversary passed, but my hair was super frizzy and super dry. If you guys see some of my pictures from when I first chopped my hair, it looks like just a very frizzy, kind of curly fro. And so my main thing when I first was like learning how to take care of my hair is, how do I decrease this frizz? Because it wasn't like, oh, normal frizz. Like, this is just normal frizz, as you guys can see. Curly hair gets frizzy. It was like excessive frizz. And so what I ended up doing was I deep conditioned more often. I would let my hair touch water as often as it needed to. Like, if it felt dry, I wouldn't just let it stay dry. I would kind of like rinse it with water. Maybe like 2 or 3 times a week I was doing this, and I would apply conditioner to it, because at the time that was the only thing that I really had on hand that kept my hair soft or moisturized to some extent. And probably, I want to say around, I've been chopped in February, around like July, August, I noticed my hair getting less frizzy. I noticed my hair actually having like a curl pattern, and it looking more like it did when it was wet, versus like it just drying and just kind of like poofing up. So I feel like that's definitely an indicator that you're on the right track. If you had like a problem issue with your hair, such as frizz, and then you start to see that frizz decreasing, that's wonderful. I've also had the same issue with frizz when I went like 6 to 8 months without deep conditioning. My hair was super frizzy in the roots. I had like 2 inches of just straight up frizz mattedness. And I started deep conditioning often, like once a week, sometimes twice a week. I used heat when I deep conditioned. I used quality products at that time, because then I kind of knew what was going on. And then I also used the Cherry Lola treatment. And literally within, I would say like about 5 to 6 months, again, the frizz had completely decreased. So that's a really good indication. Another indication that you're on the right track is if you find that it's easier to manage your hair. So healthy hair responds well. Well, I won't say well, but like, you'll notice that as your hair gets healthier, it responds better and more quickly to you like applying product. It holds the style longer, because when your hair is moisturized, it doesn't look to the environment for moisture, which causes frizz, which will cause your style to like, kind of disintegrate into nothing. So you're able to hold your styles longer. It's easier to detangle. It's easier to part your hair. Yeah, like just it being more manageable for you, being able to take care of your hair is an indication that it's getting healthier and you're on the right track. Another indication is when you go to trim your hair, you notice way less single strand knots. Single strand knots are like, any excessive single strand knots is definitely letting you know that there's something in your regimen that you need to change. A few, like there's no way around single strand knots, because they happen when curly hair just curls on itself and creates the knot. But if you have like 3 to 4 knots on like a bunch of hair strands, like on one hair strand, there's 3 to 4 knots, and it's like that all around your head, then you need to get a trim, number one. And you need to look at the way you're styling your hair and the products that you're using, if it's giving your hair moisture and keeping it stretched, if that's what your hair prefers. So a decrease in single strand knots, a decrease in split ends, a decrease in like super, super dry ends. And when you trim your hair, you have to trim off like 1 inch to 1.5 inches. You'll get to a point, like I'm at a point in my journey, if I stay on my trimming schedule, I trim off like 0.5 inch because my hair is moderately healthy. It's just getting out the single strand knots and maybe a few split ends at this point. So I would say like those are my top ones that I've seen within my clients. A really big one is being able to retain moisture for at least 5 days. When you're not using products that work well with your hair type, and when you're not following a regimen that's like consistently like cleansing your hair or removing product buildup, usually I notice people can only retain moisture for like a day to 3 days at the most. But when you start being able to retain moisture for like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days, you definitely know you're on the right track because your hair is happy, essentially. Your hair will start to look, it'll have like a natural sheen to it. It'll be like your hair, it doesn't become thicker when your hair becomes at its optimal healthness. When it becomes at its optimal health level, because there's less breakage and because the hair strands are able to grow in without breaking, it appears thicker, but really like this is the natural thickness of your hair. So yeah, those are some of the indications that let you know you're definitely on the right track. And I feel that when it comes to like growing your natural hair, if you are in moderate health, your hair is growing. Your hair is growing an average of 1/2 inch every single month. It's your job to just retain the hair that you're growing by making sure that you're keeping your moisture and your protein balance, you're keeping up with your trims, you're styling your hair like gently and not causing excessive breakage by just manipulating your hair too hard. So if you get to that point of your journey where you're implementing your regimen, it's really just a matter of time before you reach your hair goals, truly. It takes excellence is like compounded habits just over a span of time. So I have been growing my hair now for 10 years. I've cut my hair multiple times, multiple times. And I've had setbacks along the way. I actually have a video on how I recovered from the majority of like my major setbacks as well. But the thing is, like, when you take your eyes off it, I feel like I enjoyed my journey way better when I just took my eyes off of my hair. I used to be someone who literally measured my hair, wrote it down in a notebook. 3 months later, I'm measuring my hair again. And that was just too much, like emotionally and just time-wise. When I finally just took my eyes off of my hair and just focused on the health and just being consistent with the regimen and then just putting my hair away because that's what my hair likes. After I would check my length, maybe like 4 to 6 months later, I'd be like, oh, like, okay, I'm a little surprised. And if I would look back at pictures, I would really be surprised. Like even now I'll be in the shower, like detangling, and I'll be like, dang, like my hair is getting long. I didn't even know it was getting this long because I just truly do not pay attention to it. I feel like you can stress yourself out so much around that. And to me, it's a little bit more fun to surprise yourself. But that's just me because I can get really obsessive about things. And if I notice like, oh, my hair isn't growing as fast this month, what do I need to do to fix that? Like I can go down a whole like rabbit hole with that and probably do more harm than good in the long run. So I figure like if you're having problems with like being patient or taking your eyes off of your hair, maybe take the time that you would use to obsess about your hair to think about something else. Maybe implement that energy and that passion and that drive into starting a new hobby or building on a relationship that you have with a friend or a loved one, or starting a business or bringing forth your purpose. There's definitely nothing wrong with like really wanting to do things as best as you can, but at the same time, you can't control everything. So I would say use that energy in a way that's going to be productive and continue to move you forward and not make you feel depressed. Because the journey is only as hard as you make it. After all these years, I really understand that. It's really only as hard as you make it. Truly, like, do what makes you happy and forget the rest. So Trish says, is stretching your hair better to reduce tangling? For most people, I find that it is. Most people with curly hair, they're able to retain moisture easier by wearing either low manipulation hairstyles. I noticed that some people prefer, like their hair prefers to be blow dried. Some people that like their hair can really take that tension and that manipulation on a weekly basis. But there are some people whose hair does prefer to be in a wash and go. So it really just depends on your hair's preferences, truly. Yeah. And so if I can give any advice to someone who's like maybe at the beginning of their journey and they're feeling like lost and confused and frustrated, I would say to really like just be present in this moment, because you'll never get this again. Like I remember when my hair was shorter, I used to rock the hell out of a puff. Like I had like my little go-to styles, you know, and I can't do those styles. Like to this day, I can't do them. Like if I wanted to do those styles again, I would have to cut my hair. And I kind of miss those days when my hair was shorter and I could do just certain things. Like, I think that it's important to just enjoy where you are, because if you're always looking like ahead, like, oh, it's going to be better when I get there, you'll get there and find that you still feel the same internally. So it's like you can just make the decision now. Like, how would you feel if you achieved that hair goal? Hold the feeling that you feel like when you think about that, and then just choose to feel that way now. And eventually you're going to get there. And the thing is, if you had waited to get there before you started feeling good, like you're missing so many blessings along the way. Murda says, do you think turbans and hats are low manipulation styles? No. They can be ways to protect your hair from the cold, or to keep you from having to manipulate your hair too much if you really just want to leave it alone. But a low manipulation style is a style that keeps your hair strands compacted in some way. So with hair that's fragile, which is curly hair, it can be very fragile because every bend is an opportunity for breakage. Those strands are stronger, like in numbers. And so that's why you see me wearing twists and braids a lot of the times, because my hair strands are fine. And when they're just out, they're so susceptible to breakage because they're so fragile. So keeping them in twists and braids helps them to be stronger because they're all together and compacted together. So for a low manipulation style to work, like the actual hair strand needs to be compacted together. Is it hard to style shorter hair? I'm not good at hairstyles. I really think it's like a preference. So I feel that like styling shorter hair might be a little bit easier because there's less hair. But then at the same time, with shorter hair, you can't just kind of wake up and throw your hair into a bun. Like you have to make sure the shape of it is right. When my hair was shorter, that was the main thing that was like annoying. Like every rising, I had to like do something to it to get the shape to be right. And now that my hair is long, I can just put it in a bun and it's no problem. So, it's really like, it's kind of up to you. Like, what do you like to do with your hair? I'm very low maintenance with my styles, as you guys see. So I prefer just throwing things up into a bun or letting them be in a braid or something like that. Beth says, circling back to 5 to 7 days of moisture. When you start to get to a point where you're able to maintain moisture for 5 to 7 days, that is a huge indicator that you're on the right track. Like once you get there, is it weird? What do you mean by that? Are you asking like, is it weird not to cleanse your hair within 5 to 7 days? I'll wait until you respond about that. But yeah, those are my thoughts around like patience. With anything, you really have to implement it consistently. So I like to think about it like this. Like if you care about the health of your hair and you're not deep conditioning, then you are not helping your hair. If you only deep condition once a month, that's deep conditioning 12 times a year. That's not enough to have healthy hair and then to maintain healthy hair. Like even now at this point with my hair being healthy, if I only deep conditioned it once a month, the health of my hair would deteriorate quickly. So you have to think about like compounding over time. So right now I deep condition I would say about 9 to 10 days. So that's about 3 times a month. And that's 36 times a year. Now, if you're cleansing every 7 days, which if you're not able to maintain moisture for 7 days, you definitely should be cleansing. You don't want to keep drawing out your wash day if your hair is dry. But if you're doing it every 7 days, that's at least 4 deep conditioning sessions a month. That's 48 deep conditioning sessions in a year. So your hair health will be vastly different if you deep condition 48 times in a year versus just 12 times in a year. So really, that's what I think is important to focus on. Like, how consistent am I being? Making sure you're staying on track with how things are working out within your regimen. Don't just start doing something and then don't check back in a week or two later just to see how it's kind of working out with your hair. Make sure you're staying on top of how your progress is going, like gently, not length checks, but just the quality and the health of your hair. And eventually you will get there. Like literally, you will get there. You'll wake up and be like, oh, when did this happen? My hair wet is collarbone length. I deep condition every week. That's great. So if you see that your hair is dry as soon as 3 days, should you wash it until I see the hair retaining moisture? If your hair is dry after 3 days, then your regimen is not moisture, it's not geared towards your hair type. So you're probably doing something that your hair doesn't like, or your hair isn't getting what it needs. So I would say you don't necessarily, I would focus first on the regimen, basically. I have a video on like 5 reasons why your hair is so dry. I definitely recommend that video to watch and see if maybe some of those tips in that video apply to what you're doing right now with your hair. It could be the way that you're laying your products. It could be the quality of the products that you're using. Yeah. But as far as what you're asking about, how often should you wash your hair? I would say probably like every 5 days or so. Like if I was in that situation, I would wash my hair every 5 days, but I would be actively trying to figure out how I can retain moisture longer so I cannot do that long term. Because washing your hair doesn't seem to be the issue. The regimen seems to be the issue. Is it weird to re-moisturize lightly on a daily basis? No, that's great. It seems that my hair does better with a little refresher. I use the oil and tonics and then apply leave-in. No, that's actually really perfect. You should be re-moisturizing every day, especially when your moisture levels are depleted. If you're someone who's been experiencing dry hair for like weeks, months, years, you definitely need to moisturize a little bit every single day. When I was getting my hair back on track from 2015 to about 2017, I re-moisturized my hair twice a day, in the rising and at night without fail. I did that for 2 years. And finally, at some point, I realized, okay, my hair definitely doesn't need this. And then I cut back to once a day. And then I eventually cut back to like once every 2 days. And now at this point, I just re-moisturize whenever I feel my hair needs it. But it really helps boost your internal moisture levels doing that. I'm like sweating. It really helps boost your internal moisture levels by giving your hair a little something extra consistently every day. I like that, Michelle. I never even thought about doing that. Jay, I'm happy about that. See, reevaluating what you're doing to make sure it's working is really important. Jay says, I went back to Camille Rose Naturals products and got a trim and my hair is back to normal. But okay. So that is the end of 30 Days of Lives. This was a super, super fun, like, I don't know, moment in time that we had together. So I don't want to be sad that it's over. I'm really just happy that it happened. I'm happy that I was able to really get to know y'all more. To see you show up every day truly means a lot. Like, it means a lot. Especially, I remember specifically there was a time when someone was like, they took a nap and then they didn't set an alarm and they woke up right before the live and that was the first thing that they thought about. That was like, oh my God. It feels so good. So yeah, I'm just happy that I know more about what you guys are struggling with, because I feel like it's going to help me create content that truly helps you. And again, the lines of communication are completely open. If you have a topic that you want to talk about, that you need help with, let me know so I can make a video for everybody to see and we can all grow together. Oh, Natasha says my heart is breaking. No, y'all can always DM me. Seriously, people who DM me on a daily basis will tell you. I may not answer every day now, but I will get back to you. Trish, if you have a medicated shampoo, I would stick with the medicated shampoo unless it dries your hair out. And oftentimes that's what happens. There are certain things that you can do, like home remedy wise. Maybe you can look into that. I heard that pure aloe vera is great if you strain out the pulp. But I would stick with the medicated shampoo if it's working for you. And if you're feeling like your hair is dry all the time, definitely look back at my old videos. You can reach out to me for curl coaching. You can grab a masterclass while it's on sale for 20% off. I have so many resources to help y'all with that. But okay, I appreciate you too, Myrna. Thank you, Hope. I appreciate y'all's time and energy and your attention. And truly, I just feel blessed. What is life? I feel like I literally, in February, I said, I need to share more, okay? Like I need to share my gifts, Kenya. This is what you're here to do. And so I told myself I wanted to do 2 master classes. And although I've done classes like that's just what I do, I was still kind of a little like nervous about it just because I have never done it before, like in this way. And it was such an amazing feeling when I did it. Like if you say you want to do something, you just got to put one little footstep in front of the other. That's it. Today, when I was posting about the Sally Beauty contest, I was like, Lord, whatever. I'm just going to keep pushing through. Like, this is the direction that I want to go through. And that's really what all of this is. What I'm doing, you can do in any capacity that you want. Like, yeah. So thank you, Namoy. Thank you so much. Alrighty, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and head out. If you haven't already, I would love if you could engage with that post that I just posted on my Instagram page, as well as the post that I'm gonna be putting up tomorrow and Friday. And I'll let you guys know how it goes. Like I said, if it's meant for me, it's already mine. And I'll be celebrating with y'all if and when I win. But I just thank you so much. I love y'all, and I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your week and really apply what we talked about. That's how you get the results. You apply it. Thank you guys so much. Bye, and thank you, Dallas and Devin.